it was a rough week for NFL players. And I guess I'm going to start with Aldon Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about him?
I did not.
So Aldon Smith was now everybody forgets this guy, but
He's a linebacker.
he was a linebacker, outside linebacker, played for the 49ers.
Yeah, he was a monster when they had that whole linebacking crew.
He had 33 and a half sacks in his first 32 games.
Yeah.
The guy was a complete monster. But he had addiction problems and it ruined his career or whatever. And he's like still only 36 years old. And I guess he had been living in Dallas for a while because his last year he got traded to Dallas. But then he made his way back to the Bay Area and he was working with some friend on some charity. They were literally delivering pizzas for a charity. This happened on Sunday, I think, either Sunday or Saturday.
Oh.
And, they stopped by his friend's house. His friend ran inside. And when he came back outside, the guy was slumped over and unresponsive. And he died. And they still, as of this morning, they still didn't know why.
Their wife wasn't like a drive-by or some craziness?
What's that?
There wasn't like a drive-by or any crazy drug-related shit?
No, there's no, as of this morning, they still don't know. And, I mean, it's probably related to his addiction problems, but, I mean, they haven't announced anything. But that was
I do remember him well. I remember the few years there, the San Francisco defense was just a killer group. I mean, it was mostly those three linebackers. Yeah, he was like an all-pro.
I mean, 33 and a half sacks in 32 games.
Yes,
great.
He was almost an MVP candidate. I mean, he was an MVP candidate.
He was a great player for a very short amount of time.
Yeah, how many years was he in the league?
I think only like 3 or 4 until the substance stuff, and then he was out. Or maybe it was 5, and then he was out for like 3 years, and then he tried to make a comeback with the Cowboys for one year. It didn't work out at all.
That's sad, man. That is sad. That happens, unfortunately, a lot of these athletes. From my perspective, it seems like just a very obvious issue, which is these people are very single-minded from a very young age. If you show this kind of potential, by the time you're in 8th grade, you are being groomed for a career and a path. And it doesn't give you a lot of freedom. And it doesn't give you a lot of opportunity to explore life and learn little lessons here and there.
Yeah.
Because you are put in a track. You've got guardrails to keep you on that path.
Right.
Because people see these massive dollar signs. And so they go down that road. And it's incredibly stressful, and they never learn how to manage that stress or manage what they're dealing with, because they're just like football. And, unfortunately, again, there is a lot of, no matter what people say, there's a lot of these guys that are using all kinds of PEDs.
Sure.
And that shit fucks you up, man. I think Lyle Alzado died from that stuff. And people don't know what that is, but it's just an example, because back in the day, he was a superhuman.
Right.
And he's fucking killed over dead one day.
Raiders, right?
Raiders and Broncos. Lyle Alzado. He actually had a huge restaurant bar on Los Angeles called Alzado's.
Oh, yeah?
The place to go for about 5 or 6 years in L.A. Anyway, but I think what happens is, and then all of a sudden they get this windfall of cash, this massive notoriety. They feel invincible. They don't answer to anybody for anything.
Right.
And the world is their oyster. And I think then they go a little berserk.
Well, that's actually something I wanted to talk about. I mean, the other people on the list in the news today, other than like Stephon Diggs, who I will mention really quickly, but there's like 1, 2, 3 guys this week who were all arrested. Right. And I'll mention them in a second, 2 of them were arrested and one of them's already in jail.
All NFL guys.
All NFL guys. And, one of the things is that it just makes you think about is that, are pro sports leagues taking enough responsibility, to look after the mental health of these guys?
Let me answer that question.
Well, but I think it's important to create to set the context. It is, these guys have been single-minded, and that cuts you off from experience when you're younger. And then all of a sudden, right, you're thrown into this world where you're getting even more attention. You're adored by everybody. You have tons of cash. You become a target because everybody knows you got cash. And, and I'm sorry, I've gotten a lot of pushback online because I refer to 20-year-olds as kids. And I get it. They're adults, right?
Who's pushing back?
No, this just we could talk about that another time. But like, I participate in some online forums and comment boards and stuff like that.
Well,
And there's a lot of pushback over the idea that someone who's in their 20s is still a kid. Obviously, they're an adult. Obviously, they're responsible for their actions, right? And anything bad that they do, they should face the consequences.
of course.
But to pretend for a second that these are fully formed human beings,
No life experience whatsoever.
yeah, no life experience, and anything, and then they're all of a sudden they're targets. So what are pro sports doing to safeguard these guys' mental health?
I mean, I know they have, obviously, compared to what it was, in like the 80s and 90s when everyone was, getting concussed and carted off the field and dying left and right, and it was mayhem, and it was actually super entertaining. But that's not the point. I think since then they've taken a lot of steps. I mean, I know they've initiated, mental health awareness program. There are all kinds of different things like that. You probably know way more than I do, being that you're in that field. But even as a layperson, I know that they're taking that more seriously and that they're offering mentorship programs and things like that. But even at that, I would say they need to do more.
Well, what I'm seeing is like,
because
they're reactive. Right?
Yeah.
So I think like, the stuff that the Rams supposedly did to encourage Puka to get himself into rehab and all of that, I think that's all real.
Yeah.
Right. But it's a reaction, right? Whereas the thing, I think from what I've seen, and I'm not an expert and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, but from what I've seen, they're not nearly proactive enough, right? It doesn't take a genius to tell that these people are being exposed to things that most of us just can never understand.
No.
Right? And it puts all sorts of psychological and emotional stressors on you that I would think that the pro leagues especially should be able to anticipate. And they're also kids, right? And they're these macho kids and whatever. So they're not going to ask for help themselves. What did Puka say? He said, I learned that it's okay to ask for help. Now, that sounds like a line if you're super cynical and you just want to hate on Puka. But there's probably a lot of truth to it, is that remembers that, they're adults, but they don't have the life experience. And they grow up in cultures where it probably isn't the first thing you're thinking is, I'm going to ask for help if I'm not feeling,
Right. That's not a part of their lifestyle. And again, it goes against the whole, alpha male machismo to ask for help,
Right.
You're 6'4", 270 and can run through walls. You're just not going to be like, oh, excuse me.
Exactly.
I don't know how to do this. It's just not, it's unfortunately, we still, as a society, we've not embraced the totality of human experience and accepted the fact that regardless of your size or your abilities to do anything,
right,
at the end of the day, we're all just human beings. And I would even argue that these guys, they do have more life experience in some ways than most people their age, but also way less. Because if you're just a normal person navigating your way through high school, college, and the job market, trying to figure all that shit out.
You're getting socialized.
You're getting socialized, and you have, bumps and bruises, and you have to go to your mom or your friends or people and they got this interview, and you didn't get it. And those guys are like, they get everything.
Right.
They're like, here, you don't even have to go to school. You got to be. Next case.
Right.
Can you show up and play on Saturday? Sure.